Uh-oh, your Ford Escape won't start. Just happened to us. Let me show you what's probably causing it. This is a panel that's on the side of your battery. There's fuses in these panels. There's two fuses. One goes here, one goes here. These are your body control modules. Both of my fuses actually turned out to be bad. These are the symptoms that our car had. This is how I figured it out, and here's how I fixed it. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Not working on any of the hot rods or cool cars today. This morning I got to mess with my wife's Ford Escape. She's got a 2015 Ford Escape, and we came across the infamous no start issue. Basically, she came home from work, it was running fine, doing what it was supposed to do. She got ready to leave again and went to start it, and nothing, no power. It was weird. So my first instinct is, okay, maybe the battery's dead. So I tested the battery. No, then I start checking fuses, and nothing really jumped out. She had just had her oil changed and filter and all that stuff, so I thought maybe somebody, when they were installing the air filter, pulled on a wire, tugged something got loose. I got in there, I started kind of jiggling stuff. I know that sounds dirty. Lo and behold, power came back. Fast forward to yesterday, she was on her way home from work, and I get a call. She doesn't have any instrumentation, like the digital screen had just gone blank, her speedometer wasn't working, tachometer, none of the gauges were working. And then she tells me, I guess the lights are not working, blinkers aren't working, stuff like that. Managed to get the car home. I start digging into it again, and here's what I found the second day. So initially I was going through all of these fuses, double checking everything, and everything was good except for one fuse that was blown, but it was for one of the power ports, not a big deal. If you pull off this cover right here that's on the edge of the battery box, this is what you're going to come across. So I took a test light, I hooked it to my ground right here, and then I started checking. I have power here, and it's transferred through. We're good. Here, 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 all the way down till I get to this one right here, this 50 amp fuse. I had power here, but it wasn't getting through, so that's my problem. Well, after kind of messing with this for a second and jiggling it, all of a sudden, this comes back. So I thought the fuse was blown, but obviously it's not. We're just getting intermittent power transferred from here to here. Maybe something's loose, maybe something's corroded, I'm not sure, but from the front, everything looks good. The wires are, you know, they're tight, nothing's loose. So I gotta dig in, and we'll see what I can find. I need to take the battery out because I don't feel like dying today. So I've got the key in the ignition. I've got my ground over here to the ground terminal. And this is how I checked it yesterday. So I got power. Power. Yep.
That was good. That was good. That was good. That was good. Yep.
Yep. This is one I had issues with. Oh, okay. Let's see. So I got power there. Oh. Well, now I have power. A second ago I did not. Okay. So far so good. Like today everything's working, but I know that I'm having issues with this terminal here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out and figure it out anyway. Fairly simple to get access to this. You're just taking out, taking off your airbox cover. You gotta unplug this top sensor, undo this clamp right here, get that out of the way, take your filter out. The bottom piece of this just comes up out of these two little, I don't know, those little rubber inserts or whatever. It just pops up, and then you can finagle it and move it out of the way. There's little clips here, 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 and over here. And then you gotta kind of pull it away and sneak a screwdriver in here to pull these out because they go inside. Here's the panel. You probably don't have to do this, but it was easy enough that I decided just to remove this entire thing and work on it here on my bench. Before I get any further, what I'm going to do is just make sure that I have continuity between all of these fuses. Okay. This is the one that wasn't, there it is. This one wasn't making contact until I push this
Okay.
While I have this out, I'm going to take everything apart. I'm going to clean every one of these contacts and just make sure it is 100% clean and making good contact with the fuse edge. This is how the fuses were installed, and this is how you see them when you pull that cover off. Something I just realized, and I'm going to reinstall them this way. If you flip it over, hey, look at that. You can actually do a visual without having to take everything apart and see that that fuse is good. And that fuse is good. Now the 100, unfortunately you can't do. So you just got to leave that one. But all these other ones, the 60, flip that over, 50, and 50. So when I put them back in, that's how I'm going to do it. That way if something ever does happen in the future, I can pull this cover back and I can see it, and I'll know exactly which one I'm dealing with. Come on, Ford. Why wouldn't you just do that in the first place? You're making me do extra work. I found the problem. I don't know that I would have found this had I not pulled these out to start cleaning them, but let me show you a good fuse. So that's a good fuse. You can look through and see, and the ends are tight. There's no movement within this. Now, the one that I was having issues with, I noticed when I was cleaning it, like there's some movement right here, like these things are wiggling. Well, that got me to really looking inside there, and what has happened is this fuse is actually broken inside, but if you're looking at it like this, you can't see that, you can't tell. So I already knew, but I went ahead and did my little tester with continuity, and you can see I got nothing, right? Not making a sound. But when I push it together, oh, there we go. No, not so much. Yep, no. Yep, no. Yep, no. There's my problem. So that fuse is getting replaced. Turns out I had two of these that were just cracked. Like you can barely see the movement right there. And that's all it takes to not make contact. It's cracked inside, and it's really hard to see. You know, at first glance, when you're just looking at it, you think, oh, it's not blown, it's fine. I can see it going across there. Well, not so much. You gotta really look at it from the side, and so dumb. There's 2 BCMs in this car. That's your body control modules, and that's what both of these 50 amp fuses power. I went ahead and marked mine. So if you look at this, this is how it looks when it's on the side of the battery here. So your battery's going this way underneath the dashboard. This is for your power steering, battery junction box, body control module. That's the one that went out. This is going to be the one that's probably most likely the culprit if you have a no start issue. This one's not used on our car, but it goes to an electric booster heater. This one is the rear junction box. This one is for the accessory relay. This is for your cooling fan. And this is where the other 50 would go for the body control module. And this one's not used at all, I believe, on any of the cars. So here's what that fuse was doing, why it was loose like this. Basically, the contact that's in the middle, if you're looking down on it, it looks fine. It looks like it's connected. When in reality, it's actually broken. But what was happening was, as it got pushed forward, it would actually make a little bit of contact and it would work until it was broken again. So it was doing this. So when I shook the panel, it made contact. I was able to start the car. But as she drove and drove, and then vibrations, I guess this thing kind of slipped back and everything died. Crazy. Never had a fuse do that to me before, but that's what happened. Everything is back in. Everything is clean. All the terminals have been cleaned, and I hit them with some sandpaper. Make sure we got a good connection. I'm hooking up my test light to the negative battery cable over here. Let's go through and make sure we have power. So it helps if I take this off. That was almost a pickle bearable offense. All right, got power. All right, we're good. Power, power.
Power, power, power. Yep. Power, power, yay! This one, that one. Yeah, good.
Look at that. We have power all the way through. We are set to go. We are ready for liftoff. All right, everything's back together. Let's see how I did. Moment of truth. Gauges are coming on. Woohoo! All right, that's a win. I will take it. Well, there it is. Fuses at your battery box, that whole power supply panel. It's kind of notorious on these things. Hopefully, if you're experiencing some of the same symptoms that we did with this vehicle, I hope that's your issue and it's as easy as a fix as replacing those 2 fuses. The first fuse I got at Advanced Auto Parts, that fuse was like $8. The second fuse I was able to order from O'Reilly. So if you have an O'Reilly, check with them first. Save yourself a little money if you can. A couple lights on the dash popped up right when I started. You may have seen it in that last clip. What happened was, I didn't realize that I had probably turned the wheel of the car just slightly right before I unhooked the battery. So after I was completely done with everything and I put it back together, you know, it'd been more than 15 minutes or so. When I hooked that battery back up, the computer reset. Well, the sensor for the steering was now off. So it did not like that, and it kept giving me this hill start message, error message on the little screen. And it took me forever to try to figure this out. Finally, once I hooked up my OBD scanner, I was able to pull a code. It was C0051.28. Basically, that is the steering sensor, and it just needed to be recalibrated. Well, my OBD scanner thing doesn't have that capability. So after a few minutes on the old interwebs, I figured out you're supposed to have the car perfectly level. Mine was in the driveway, so it was at a slight incline. So what I did was I chalked the rear wheels, I jacked the front up just a little bit, and I put a level on the front of the car, and it was level side to side. It was just raised up just a smidge so that I could get the wheels to clear the ground. I unhooked the battery, and after I unhooked the battery, I just turned the wheel all the way to the right, held it for a couple seconds, turned it all the way to the left, held it for a couple seconds. You probably don't have to repeat it, but I did like 2 or 3 times, and then I put it center, and then I just waited. And after 15 minutes, you know, after you do all that stuff, it drains the power out of the system. I hooked it back up, I turned the key, no lights, plugged in my OBD. It did have that code, but I just hit erase, it cleared it out. We're good to go. So she's back on the road. That's how you fix that mess. So if you get all your fuses back in and you've disconnected your battery and you end up with that error message, it's probably because your wheel wasn't perfectly center when you started. So hopefully you watch this video all the way to the end before you start doing yours. Make sure your steering wheel's straight and you won't have that issue that I had. Thanks so much for watching. Stay hungry, stay foolish.